Today's Thursday, May 28th. Thought I'd do a quick update on the garden. Still got a lot of tomato plants, some to put in the garden still, some many to sell. Flowers are blooming. Many of these will one day be removed from the garden. Been cleaning a little in this corner, running some poison ivy, so I paused. Well, I used to not get poison ivy, it seems, here lately. I have been again. So I'll come in from the other direction and be a little more careful when I get to the poison ivy. My asparagus is growing quite nicely, as well as cherries slowly ripening on a tree. Birds have been eating those quite quickly. Zucchini has been slowly coming up. Normally squash comes up in a matter of a few days. This year it seems like it's taking weeks. Have been putting down some leaves in the paths. This is mushmelon. Getting some cleaned up. The main path I've been working on as well. Just hit and miss. Pole beans are up. I need to check them, see how they're doing. They're just about to start vining, it looks like. I replanted the cabbage. Broccoli, cauliflower is in as well. I cleaned up this whole section so I could keep an eye on everything. Was planning on picking turnip seed, but decided not to. Okra is up as well. Bell peppers, what's left of them, are slowly starting to grow. They'll most likely be doing something here in the next week or so, due to the fact it's going to be dry finally. A new iris that came up. Nice purple. Not sure what color you would call that exactly. Sweet corn over here has come up quite nice. Thick everywhere. Over here, I'm not sure what's going on, but it seems to be close to vacant. There's a few little ones, but very few's come up in the rest of the garden. Have to wait and see what happens there. One of my ever-bearing strawberries, very beautiful bloom. I replanted the eggplants again. Under the cups there was a few who will possibly survive. The rest of my eggplants over here replaced that I had. Turmeric is growing. I had a few beets come up. I believe many of them got eaten. Carrots are up quite nice. Grew much better than I thought they would. tomatoes. Many of them are outgrowing the jugs. I have to pay attention at this time. They are about to the point to start growing a couple inches per day. In case anyone wonders, concrete wire is a 6x6 square. Jugs are a 6x6 square. Again, something's still getting in the garden. As you can see, this wire's been, crushed. About dropped yins there. So quite possibly a coon getting in and digging. Looks like a tomato missing again over here. Completely gone. Looks to have been cut completely off. I don't see any other missing there. Peppers, they're just now starting to grow again. Lettuce, I need to get it harvested. Some more peppers. This will be a black square pepper. A few volunteer tomatoes I'll have to move around. More lettuce. Something's been affecting my peppers. Slowly eating away. I haven't found anything on them or around them lately. Black raspberries are setting on. I've got 2 plants here in the garden. The plan is to remove this one as soon as it produces berries. I may keep this one. A few weeds still to remove, as well as a lot in the paths, smaller ones. I get so many removed and so many come back up. A few extra tomatoes in this area. The radishes and cucumbers are slowly growing. Radishes are doing a little better than cucumbers. There are a few there. A few cucumbers there. I'll more than likely have to replant most of the cucumbers. Cannas, for some reason, about half of them come up volunteer again. Some cucumbers I've replanted. I don't see them coming up yet. A wild strawberry. Some more tomatoes. I've still got to plant about 3 more in this bed. And 6, probably 8 more in the center of this bed. Some of last year's carrots. They'll be going to seed here shortly. Strawberry patch. Picked them last night. Lots of rotten ones due to all the rain. There's still a few good ones in there. Not very many. This will be a tomato patch since they are not ever bear tomato or strawberries. My path beets, I replanted these. The tomatoes will have to be removed. Something, most likely a rabbit, ate off most of the beets. This will be waiting on the second bunch to sprout. Got to get my stuff moved out of here so the path through here can be mowed. Haven't spent a lot of time back here weeding. This is the purple Tomatillos. First time growing them. Tomatoes. I got to get the weeds back out of this. Running out of mulch. These are some potatoes. The last ones I've planted, and the tallest, best looking ones. Of course, they're under a tree. And the soil back here will be much nicer. I'll have to move out all this lumber and materials I've been saving for some projects. Weeds here, of course, have taken up real quick due to all the rain we're constantly having. Here is more tomatoes. Some kind of a butterfly got eaten. And some well, this says purple Tomatillos here, and that says purple Tomatillos. This should be green Tomatillos. And then I got some tomatoes in with the herbs here. Herbs should keep most of the tomato worms off. And then I got some more tomatoes here, whoppers. They'll be taking off shortly and growing. Kind of interesting. This tomato is very small now. I believe a cutworm cut the top off of this tomato. When they cut the tomato or any plant, they pull it down inside their hole and they cut it at night, and then during the day in safety they eat, pulling the plant slowly down deeper and deeper. Well, something happened to the cutworm, apparently, and this was the top of the tomato that re-rooted itself and started growing, and the base disappeared a couple days ago. Maybe a mole or something sucked it down. But I pulled it up out of the ground looking for the cutworm, but there was a mole hole under it. This has got to be cleaned out. Another blackberry briar up. This herb, I believe, I will remove. Still have to get my plants out in the garden. Nice to have a ramp to get into my shed now. These are bell peppers from a couple years ago. One of my pineapples, this one produced 2 pineapples last year. It probably will not produce any this year. It will probably be resting. Another bell pepper with a sweet potato. Some of my new strawberry plants. I'm hoping these will be everbearers. They are producing again, so things are looking favorable. Let's see what we got. This looks like it could be getting ready to produce a pineapple. This one is the first pineapple to set. An eggplant. I grew this one last year and it sat in the garden all year and did nothing. And this has grown since I dug it up in the fall. Be interesting to see how big it gets this year. There is the third pineapple to set on. This is the second pineapple. These will be going in the garden. This one will most likely not produce any due to the fact it was a pineapple that we ate in October or November that I grew last year. So this is not a purchased pineapple, but one I grew. Sage, it's blooming quite beautiful. I'll have to get it set out in the garden. Might be a project for today. Not sure if I showed this. My pile of straw I've gotten so far. A couple more everbearers. This back corner, I finally got it cleaned up once more. It'll probably be a job keeping it cleaned up. To help out, I've planted a type of melon here. We'll see if seeds will germinate. New type. Ever-bearing strawberries here. Has some nicer size to them. They are about the size of a finger. Very good flavor. My old-fashioned strawberries. They don't produce a whole lot, probably due to not having irrigation yet and underneath peach trees. Don't think I see a single peach on the tree this year here. No, I do see one off in the distance, near the top. Not very many. My lemon-tine, the onions are growing nicely. This was the first onions I planted here. Sunflower volunteer. I'll need to remove it from the onions. It'll suck up too much water. Potatoes. All these are volunteer from 2 years ago, as well as those there. Garlic. It did not get dug, I would say, last year. So it's multiples together. We'll see how that turns out. This, if anybody's wondering, is a tomato patch. These are last year's volunteer potatoes this year. So we'll see how that does. These eggplants I kept covered to keep the animals out of. Got busy one day, did not get the plastic off, and it kind of cooked everything a little. So I've lost a couple of eggplants more than likely here, maybe 3. And the potatoes may come back up. We'll see. They're not important. They were planted here 2 years ago. This still has to be planted. I did get it weeded. There is a tree that needs to be dug up. I didn't have a sufficient shovel handy. Clover is going to have to be covered and killed. It is definitely getting a little out of control, as well as this little viney yellow stuff. It's a nuisance. The rest of the stuff isn't too bad to control. Watermelons have finally started sprouting. I had my doubts. These will be, I believe, small melons. Larger melons haven't yet been planted. Volunteer tomato I'll have to move or remove. But as soon as the rain stops in a couple of days, I will be able to get busy back on weeding, hopefully. Oh, interesting. Everybody wonders about planting stuff by the almanac and how important it is. And sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. These potatoes here and these potatoes here were bought at the same time. Same kinds, everything. These were planted 1 day or 2 days before these. Same spacing, everything. There looks, well, I would have said one missing, but that's actually 2 boxes go together there. So there is not one missing there. And the same over here. This side was planted a day or 2 before that side. Of course, there are several not up or missing in here as well. This is turnip seed, in case anyone's wondering. Some of that will reseed for fall, and the rest I'll harvest to plant in the fall. Some winter squash growing in amongst it. A volunteer turnip. I may have to eat him in a few days here. Another canna that made it through the winter. A weed that'll have to be dug up and removed the next day or 2. I've planted some peanuts in with the sweet corn here and there since it's not growing very well. There's a young one coming up. It looks like something's nibbled the top. So this might be an animal problem. Just have to wait and see. In case you heard that, that was a turtle dove flying off. I believe another canna, small amount, overwintered. Sweet corn. Well, that's not Silver Queen, so we'll remove that tag. And, well, this bed looks like it came up nice and full. Quite interesting. I was wondering if I would find out about any of this. Well, that looks like a corn now that I'm over here. This was a turmeric patch last year, so I was interested in knowing if I missed any, if it might overwinter. Gooseberry bush. It is loaded quite nicely. Ready to start picking green gooseberries. They'll get a little larger. Did not get this mulched after I got it weeded, so I will have to weed a second time. This is a turmeric patch for this year. I think there's a few just starting to come up here. Tree still needs dug up and put in the container. Still lots of projects. Still haven't cleaned up the framework over there. That's the garden for today. Quite a lengthy walkthrough.